Basic Line Rider physics! Okay, so how do Line Rider physics work in this weird sandbox game where you get to torture your test subject in whatever way you want? Okay, let's begin. Line Rider has discontinuous physics that run at 40 FPS, which means that the rider goes to 40 different positions per second. It also has deterministic physics, which means that it does the same thing no matter the lag or external circumstances. So, how do lines in Line Rider manage to hit Bosch and change his movement? Well, Bosch is made up of several contact points. There are 10 of them. The string, nose, tail, second peg, 2 hands, butt, shoulder, and 2 feet. Lines, however, have a gravity well under it, over here. If a contact point is inside the gravity well, and the well is pointing in the same 180-degree range as the contact point's momentum, then the line will push the contact point to the top of the line. When red lines hit Bosch, it simply accelerates the contact points in that direction. For example, say that there is a horizontal line that Bosch sits on. Now, gravity by default pulls Bosch downwards into the line. However, now that Bosch is in the gravity well, those contact points are pushed back up and Bosch sits on the line again. These line physics happen every single frame. Every frame in Line Rider also has 6 iterations. The 0th iteration isn't actually an iteration, but we'll include it anyway. The 0th iteration is called the momentum tick. This literally just moves Bosch's contact points to the next frame, based on the momentum from the previous 2 frames. Bosch isn't affected by lines in this tick. In each of the next 5 iterations, the rider gets pulled back in shape by the constraint of the rider, and then it checks for line hits. In each of the first 5 iterations and the momentum tick, the rider can die from constraints of the rider, as indicated by the orange lines. The 6th iteration does pretty much the same thing as the first 5, as it checks for line hits. However, the rider cannot die in the 6th iteration from constraints. In this case, the rider only shows orange lines because it dies in the next frame, and not this one. However, in this iteration, the rider can die from 2 types of fakies. The first one is when Bosch turns under the sled like this, and the second one is when these 2 back points swap, like this. There is another physics feature in Line Rider called friction, and it applies to some of the contact points at different strengths. When such a contact point gets pushed, it moves perpendicularly to that push in the next frame's momentum tick. Such contact points include the second peg, the butt, and the shoulder. This feature initially was created to make Bosch slow down on lines when he is riding on his head, but now is the reason why we can't make strong cannons! Okay, so that's all for the video. Sorry if I missed a lot of the physics such as the grid or something like that, but whatever. This was already a lot of information to cram into a basic tutorial, so it was probably really hard to follow everything that I was saying, but whatever. Bye, help me, why am I...